All right, so you're ready to take on the world of rail construction, huh? More specifically, you've got that big rail construction supervisor interview coming up. Well, congrats on getting this far, first of all.
That's a big step.
It is. And you're in the right place. Because in this deep dive, we're going to break down exactly how to ace that interview, using, of course, our trusty RoleCatcher Career and Interview guides.
They're so helpful.
Think of this as your secret weapon to stand out, really impress those interviewers.
It's all about preparation.
100%. Now, before we jump into the nitty-gritty, let's quickly set the stage. We're talking about the Rail Construction Supervisor role, which, by the way, is often the peak of a career path that starts with those entry-level construction worker positions, then moves up to rail construction worker, and finally lands you in the supervisor seat. But we'll get to that climb later. Right now, let's talk about owning that interview.
Let's do it.
Okay, RoleCatcher's interview guide gives us 10 sample questions to dissect. Ready to dive in?
Let's go.
All right, question number 1. What motivated you to pursue a career in rail construction? Sounds pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, seems simple enough.
But there's always more to it than meets the eye. So from an interviewer's perspective, what are they really trying to uncover with this question?
Right, they want to hear more than just, I like trains. What they're really looking for is your passion, your why. What is it about this industry that truly excites you and makes you want to get up every morning?
So it's about connecting that passion to the actual work itself.
Exactly. Maybe you were that kid who was mesmerized by trains, fascinated by the sheer scale of the engineering, or maybe it's the impact on transportation, connecting communities, and literally building the backbone of the country.
I love that, building the backbone of the country. And speaking of building, RoleCatcher mentions that this question often leads to a follow-up like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's the best way to tackle that one?
Well, this is where those career insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide come in super handy. Remember how we talked about the different career stages, entry-level, rail construction worker, and then supervisor?
Yeah, the career ladder.
Exactly. Use that to your advantage. Show them you understand the potential career trajectory. You're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career path. And you see yourself rising within this industry.
Like, I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm here for the long haul.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, question 2 in the RoleCatcher interview guide. What experience do you have in managing rail construction projects?
Okay, getting into the specifics now.
This one feels pretty direct. What's the key to really knocking it out of the park?
Specificity is key here. Don't just tell them you managed a project. Tell them you managed a team of 15, coordinated with 3 different subcontractors, and delivered the project 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
Ooh, I love those details.
And even more importantly, quantify your achievements. Did you bring the project in under budget? Shout it from the rooftops.
It paints such a vivid picture. They're not just reading your answer, they're experiencing your success.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to use industry-specific jargon here. Did you utilize a specific project management methodology like Agile or Waterfall? Mention it. It shows you speak their language.
Now, I have to ask, because I know our listeners are probably wondering, how can RoleCatcher's AI actually help with crafting these answers? It sounds almost too good to be true, right?
I know, it sounds futuristic, but it's real. And a game changer, honestly. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions, like the one you're interviewing for, to identify those magic keywords and skills that employers are really looking for. Then their CV resume builder can suggest ways to integrate those keywords into your answers.
So it's like having a personalized interview prep team at your fingertips. That's amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
All right, moving on to question 3 from the RoleCatcher interview guide. How do you ensure that rail construction projects are completed safely? This is a big one.
Huge. Safety is paramount in rail construction, and they want to see that you live and breathe those safety protocols, not just recite them from a manual.
Right, it's about a proactive approach, not just ticking boxes. What would you say to someone who's maybe struggling to articulate that?
I would say think about specific situations you've encountered on the job. Maybe you noticed a potential hazard and took immediate action to address it. Or perhaps you implemented a new safety training program for your team.
Those real-life examples bring your answers to life. Okay, question number 4. What steps do you take to ensure that rail construction projects are completed on time and within budget?
All right, back to project management. This one's all about showcasing your ability to deliver the goods.
So it's not enough to just say, I'm organized.
Nope, they want to know how you actually do it. Dive into the specifics. Do you use project management software? What systems have you implemented for tracking progress? How do you flag potential delays before they become major roadblocks?
And speaking of roadblocks, What about those unexpected challenges? Let's say a shipment of materials gets delayed or there's a sudden change in regulations. How do you demonstrate your ability to handle those curveballs?
That's where your problem-solving skills come into play.
Yeah.
Think about a time a project hit a snag. How did you adapt? Walk them through your thought process for finding a solution.
And I'm guessing RoleCatcher's AI could help with structuring those answers for maximum impact.
Definitely. The interview practice tool is phenomenal for that. You can actually practice answering these tough questions, and the AI will give you feedback on your clarity, your conciseness, even your tone of voice. It really is like having a virtual mentor in your corner, guiding you along the way.
Okay, let's move on to question 5 from RoleCatcher's list.
Yeah.
How do you ensure that rail construction projects are completed to a high standard? Quality control time.
Exactly. And it's not just about meeting the bare minimum, right? It's about going above and beyond, exceeding expectations.
So how do you convince them you're not just another cog in the machine, but someone who really cares about the quality of the work, who wants to set that bar high?
Well, you need to showcase your commitment to quality. Think back to your experience. Have you introduced new inspection checklists or maybe championed a really rigorous testing phase for new materials? Those are the kinds of things that demonstrate your commitment.
And this feels like a good time to mention those industry standards again, because knowing the rules of the game is one thing, but showing you're actively using them to raise the bar, that speaks volumes, right?
Absolutely. Mentioning specific standards that you're familiar with can be a huge plus. Like, are you up to date on the ARIMA manual for railway engineering? Bringing that up shows you're serious about quality.
It's about speaking their language, showing them you're in the know. Okay, question 6. How do you manage stakeholder expectations on rail construction projects? And anyone who's worked on large-scale projects knows that stakeholder management, it can be a delicate dance.
You said it. You've got government agencies, contractors, community groups, all with their own agendas and timelines.
So how do you keep everyone happy, or at least reasonably content? What's the key?
Communication, that's the magic word. And I'm not just talking about sending out those regular updates, although that's important too. It's about proactive communication, understanding their concerns before they become major issues.
And sometimes you have to deliver tough news. Let's say a project's facing delays, or there's a budget overrun. How do you handle those difficult conversations in a way that preserves those relationships?
Honesty, transparency, and having a plan. Don't sugarcoat things. Be upfront about the situation, what steps you're taking to address it, and what the revised outlook is.
And this feels like another area where RoleCatcher's AI could really come in handy, right?
Yeah.
Walk me through how that works.
For sure. With their interview practice tool, you can actually simulate these tough conversations. Practice delivering that difficult news, handling pushback, and finding common ground. And the best part, the AI will provide feedback on your delivery, your tone, everything.
Talk about a safe space to practice those high-pressure scenarios. Okay, moving on to question 7. How do you ensure that rail construction projects comply with applicable regulations and standards?
This one's all about demonstrating that you know the rules of the game, and more importantly, that you take compliance seriously.
So it's not enough to just say, I follow the rules. You need to show them, the rules inside and out, right?
Exactly. Brush up on those acronyms. FRA, ARIMA, OSHA. Be ready to discuss specific regulations and how you've applied them in your past projects.
It's about showing them you're not just building a railway, you're building it right. Question 8. How do you manage project risks on rail construction projects? Because let's face it, no project goes perfectly according to plan.
That's for sure. And that's what they want to see, how you handle those inevitable bumps in the road.
So how do you show them you're not just a fair weather leader, you can handle those storms too?
This is your chance to demonstrate your proactive thinking. Can you anticipate challenges before they arise? Do you have a system for assessing their potential impact and coming up with those mitigation strategies?
Give us an example. What's a common risk in rail construction and how would you approach it?
Well, weather delays are a classic example. Let's say you're managing a project in an area known for heavy snowfall. You could talk about how you'd factor in that extra time for weather-related contingencies, securing alternative material delivery routes if roads are closed, that sort of thing.
It's about being proactive, having those backup plans ready to go. Question 9. How do you ensure that rail construction projects are sustainable and environmentally friendly? This one's becoming increasingly important.
Absolutely. The rail industry is already a relatively sustainable mode of transportation, but there's always room for improvement, and they want to see that you're aware of those environmental considerations.
So how can candidates impress them with their eco-savviness? What are some key areas to focus on?
Talk about your experience with sustainable materials. Things like recycled aggregates or sustainably sourced timber, or discuss strategies for minimizing waste and reducing the project's carbon footprint.
And this is a great opportunity to bring it back around to those industry certifications, right?
100%. Mentioning certifications like ALED or Envision shows them you're serious about sustainability.
It shows that you're not just building for today, you're building for tomorrow. Okay, final question, the 10th one from RoleCatcher. How do you lead and manage a team of rail construction professionals? The grand finale.
It really is. This is where you get to showcase those leadership qualities.
Right, because it's about more than just giving orders. So when we talk about a successful rail construction supervisor, what are those key qualities that really matter, and how do you get that across in an interview?
It's about inspiring your team, creating an environment where everyone feels ownership and they're driven to achieve that shared goal.
Building something together, literally and figuratively.
Exactly. Think about your leadership style. Are you more of a delegator, or do you prefer a coaching approach? Be prepared to give specific examples of how you've motivated teams in the past, how you've resolved conflicts, those sorts of things.
And those above and beyond moments, right? Like, did you mentor a junior team member who's now thriving? Did you implement a new safety protocol that's significantly reduced on-site incidents?
Exactly. Those details matter. They paint a picture of you as someone who's truly invested in the success of your team and the project as a whole.
It's about being more than just a manager. It's about being a leader.
100%.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today, from deciphering those sometimes tricky interview questions to, of course, harnessing the power of AI for interview prep.
It's been quite the journey.
It has. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to RoleCatcher one last time. Our listeners have heard us sing their praises throughout this entire deep dive, and for good reason. So as we get ready to roll those end credits, can you remind everyone why these resources are so invaluable, especially for those climbing the career ladder in rail construction?
Absolutely. I mean, their career and interview guides, they're like having a roadmap to success. They give you those insider insights that you just won't find on a generic job board.
And then there's the AI. It's a game changer. We've talked about it throughout the episode, but I think it's worth reiterating. Why should our listeners be using RoleCatcher's AI tools to prepare for their interviews?
Imagine having a team of career coaches and AI specialists available 24/7, all dedicated to helping you craft the perfect answers, practice your delivery, and just really refine your entire approach. That's the power of RoleCatcher.
It's like having a personalized interview boot camp minus the push-ups.
Exactly. And it's all tailored to that specific role you're going for, so you know you're honing in on exactly what matters most to that employer.
All right, future rail construction supervisors, we've armed you with the tools, the insights, and hopefully a boost of confidence. Now go out there and ace that interview.
You got this.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The world of rail construction is full of exciting possibilities, opportunities for growth, advancement, you name it. So keep learning, keep building, and don't forget to check out RoleCatcher for all your career development needs. They've got thousands of those career guides and interview guides, plus those awesome AI tools to guide you every step of the way. Until next time, keep building those tracks to success.